Thank you for listening to another episode of SEO Science. I'm delighted to be joined by a colleague, Miko. How are you doing, Miko?
I'm good. Hi.
Yeah, we're all a bit stressed at the minute because it's this mega update from Google, and that's what we're going to talk about today because I know it's probably the only thing a lot of SEOs are talking about and thinking about right now. So let's just get straight into it. Miko, what's been going on?
Google have released an update which is meant to combat spam and low quality sites that have sprung up a lot over the past few years, especially with the prevalence of AI being used in marketing and SEO to try to get quick wins on websites. Another thing they've targeted are expired domain abuse, which is where you buy a domain which used to have a really high domain rating and then you completely turn it around, take all the backlinks and then use them to power your own thing.
Yeah, there's quite a lot going on. And it honestly feels like it was probably like the dawn of war in Google offices when he just started going off and hitting everyone with manual actions. It's pretty crazy. Like, I mean, we've all been wondering and waiting for some kind of a response from Google to like chat GPT sites that have just been dominating completely and just popping up out of nowhere. So what are the sort of what have you noticed so far in terms of like the sites that have been hit?
Yeah, so reading like articles, I spent quite a lot of yesterday morning just like looking through like the different chatter and what people have said, and all the sites that have catered mainly to AI seem to have either fallen off completely or they're doing like relatively well. So it's like Google is clearly trying to like find a middle ground between like what is acceptable, what is an acceptable use of AI, and what is like something that should be punished and manual actioned. You are right in saying that there was a lot of chat about like manual actions, people receiving emails or not receiving emails, but still getting manual actions on other websites.
Yeah.
Which is something that you should definitely look into if you've been wondering. Just make sure that all of your sites haven't been manual actioned,
I
just
know
in case.
there have been some pretty big sites that have just been penaltied. Just an example, a few examples. Part of these sites were all getting over 1 million visitors a month. Now they're getting zero. ZachJohnson.com, beingselfish.in, equityatlas.org, all hit. Traffic gone overnight. Scary, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And if you've ever been on search engine roundtable when they do the threads on the algorithm updates, this one's been pretty uh, busy. Let's say lots of people commenting saying that they've noticed things. I mean, when did this update start rolling out? We were talking about it the other day about the 5th of
Yeah,
March, wasn't it? Yeah, and this
yeah,
one's going to take a full month to roll out because they're combining other updates, the spam updates as well. Is that right?
yeah. And that's very unusual for a Google update. I mean, usually they roll out an update quite quickly and then the effects are felt for quite a while. But this one, it seems like they're constantly working on it as
Yeah.
they're going along, which is a new thing for them, really. I assume it has to do with like AI being like at the forefront of the changes.
Yeah. And I've noticed a few people on social media saying that they got hit initially at first, and then they've started now to see a bit of a recovery. They've started regaining the keywords that they lost, and the keywords are going back into the same positions. So you always get this sort of vibe, don't you, with a Google update that they get it wrong initially, or things not quite right, and then all of a sudden they're starting to roll back on them in the following weeks.
With SEO Roundtable as well, the only other time I've seen the chatter get like this intense, and if you go on the website now, there's constantly like, and there's like an update every day, and then in that update, then there's like a thousand comments in a thread every single time within like a couple of hours. But the last time I've seen it was with the helpful content update, which is when they added the extra E to the EAT, which was
Yeah,
experience. And during that time, like there was also a lot of chatter of like my website's falling off, I don't know what to do and stuff like that, which yeah, is clearly happening a lot with this one too.
yeah. But it is a real concern for a lot of people because a lot of time, sometimes money gets spent developing websites. I mean, I heard the story of one guy who had a travel website and he went complied with all of Google's guidelines. Like you're talking about experience, he even paid for his writers to go and stay in hotels and visit these places that they were reviewing, and he got penalized. So sometimes you are just left wondering what the fucking hell's going on here. But and people's livelihoods can just disappear overnight, and that is probably the scariest thing I think for a lot of people. And all that time is just gone
Hmm.
in the space of a few hours. But I think if you've been using a lot of AI generated content, then in the back of your mind, I think you must have known that it was going to catch up with you at some point. Um, I
Hmm.
mean, there's a strong. We're looking at the sites that have been hit. There is a strong correlation with them using AI for a lot of the content. Is there anything that you've noticed in terms of metrics?
Yeah, I mean, even for our own sites, but combined with like Ahrefs and things like that, there have been like a drop off and certain keywords that have just like fallen out, but then like a couple of hours later they'd be back. So I think it is something that will be developing until the end of March. And once we have that, then we can make like proper and clear judgments on what the effects have been and how we can then adapt our content strategy and our SEO strategy in general to then help and grow those rankings. But you are right, like a lot of people's livelihoods might be hit by this update. And just to summarize the main points of the update is Google said that they are rolling out some changes to improve search results and reduce the amount of spam content across all sites. They want to remove low quality and duplicate content from all Google search results. And what they want to do it by over 40%. That's like their goal for this update. And they obviously want to cut down on AI, third-party site reputation, and expired domain abuse. So if you are doing any of that, or you have participated in any of it, you might want to start getting worried now. So there you go.
Yeah. There's an interesting study that people have been talking about as well. It was done by a website called originality.ai,
Hmm.
and they were looking at the results of the sites that have been hit. And their study, it's just a sample. It's not like it can't measure everything, but the sample is pretty broad. There was about 70,000 sites analyzed. Um, and it found that 100% of the sites that were affected had AI content on there. And the top 50%, 90 to 100% of the content was generated using AI. So it seems like based on that, even if you've just dabbled with a bit of AI, you're getting hit. Um, but if you're using it a lot, then you are going to feel the effects a lot more. But
Hmm.
it's interesting. I mean, this is something that I'm probably going to do because I have used a bit of AI on one of my websites, and that one has had a little bit of a dip. So I'm just going to go back and check the pages that I've experienced the biggest hit, just to see if you take the AI content out of it, what would happen. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, what do you think about all of it?
I think taking out the AI content might help, but at the same time, as the system is constantly changing and like as the updates roll out, it will take a while. You might not see the return on that for a while, even if you would in the first place. Um, I think personally, the main thing is if you have or anyone has used AI content, is just to make sure that it still upholds like all the standards of Google, or you might want to go through and like change things so that they're more along the EAT and stuff like that, just to make sure that you are not um, creating something that will then just get penalized anyway. Um,
Yeah.
Even if you're just using like AI to create like a structure for yourself, just think about fulfilling everything within the EAT as you do it, as you're filling it out yourself.
Yeah. There definitely seems to be more of an expectation to make your content more unique. So it's
Mm,
just you can't just repeat what is already out there. Um, you've got to go that step further.
mm,
And rich content is probably the easiest thing to think about. Like, what kind of images can you make, videos, infographics, podcasts, audio versions of your articles and stuff like that, video versions, anything you could really think, anything that you think would make the experience better,
mm.
just to sort of help differentiate between you and what is out there, because Google it's going after these sort of copycat websites, aren't they? Which all AI is, it's just rehashing what's already out there.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the sort of move to tackle websites that are sort of, well, we would describe them as niche websites, but the sort of like a category of niche websites that they're just basically designed to fulfill like one keyword. So you could classify exact match domains as this. There has been a lot of talk about them going after that, but I've not really seen much so far. Have you noticed anything?
Not really, but then again, like with exact match domains, they usually perform well for the keyword, and I think that's going to be the case for as long as they're around, really. That's the entire reason they've been created that way. Now, say like a website was an exact match domain, but all the content on it was created with AI, I would then assume that those would have got penalized regardless of how much of a match the domain name is to the main keyword that it wants, basically.
Yeah,
So I think that would still have the same kind of rebating effect. Um, but in terms of exact match domains by themselves, only time will tell, really. I think it will be difficult for Google to penalize them if their content is good, if their backlink profile is good, because at the end of the day, an exact match is more than likely something that a person will be looking for exactly
yeah,
as well from like a search intent perspective. And if that has all the relevant content that they want, I don't see why they would penalize that based on everything they've said so far. So,
yeah. No, that's really good. Good points. It's
mm,
going to be interesting. I mean, we're still only just over a week into this update.
mhm.
I have a feeling that there's going to be more shockwaves to come, like an earthquake that hasn't finished rumbling.
Oh,
Uh,
well, we'll have to find out as it goes along.
I know. As it's sort of like people always trying to combat these changes, aren't they? Especially if you've got like an e-commerce site and your traffic's dropped off the radar and you're losing money. It is quite panicky, panic stations all around. I mean, people's natural instincts in them situations would be to go to ads and to replace that organic traffic with paid traffic, which is what Google wants, some would argue. But what would you recommend anyone who's worried about organic traffic now? I mean, my advice would always be it's too soon not to panic yet just yet. But I mean, you've got a lot of experience behind you. What do you think?
I think the main thing that you have to just do is I would check over your content twice, especially if you have a smaller site. I mean, on a site that has like over 10,000 pages, you might struggle to like check them all. But just make sure that everything you've done on your sites is spot on, and just spend time just making sure that everything works, that all the content is relevant, it answers queries, and if you use any AI, just make sure that you have either made it original in some way or you have tailored it around it rather than just using the AI content that has been generated.
Yeah,
Because I think that has been the biggest report from everything that we've seen so far was AI, like you said before. So yeah.
nice. Well, hopefully, if you're listening, that's helped. And we're going to be coming back to this update, probably commenting on it each week as it rumbles on. So if you've got any questions, you want us to talk about anything in particular, or if you want to report how your website's getting on, give us a shout. If you've got any questions or you want to report how your site's doing, you can get in touch with us by using the information in the description. Well, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, Miko, for joining me. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll be back soon with more SEO insights.
SEOscience.com